2026 is looking to be another great year for movies, but even with all the hype that Doomsday has been getting recently, I'd have to say that my most anticipated project of the year is definitely Spider-Man Brand New Day. We all love our favorite Spider-Man. There are so many amazing iterations of this iconic character, but with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4 getting stuck in production hell because it couldn't get a good script, and Andrew Garfield's amazing Spider-Man movies not even getting a third entry because Sony was more preoccupied with trying to set up a Sinister Six movie, this will be our very first Spider-Man 4. A lot of this movie is still up in the air. Many of the MCU's other heroes are going to be making an appearance. We can only speculate on how many of Spider-Man's villains we're going to see, and the possibilities are endless because of the way that No Way Home left off. And with this movie less than a year away, it's got everyone, including myself, thinking about what exactly I would want from this movie. So here's what I want from Spider-Man Brand New Day. Swinging through your town like your neighborhood Spider-Man. The first official bit of promo for the movie that was released were these short shots of Tom Holland in his new suit. The changes aren't anything crazy since the suit that we saw at the end of No Way Home. He's got the raised webbing like the Tobey Maguire suit, and the shade of blue has been changed ever so slightly, as well as the eyes being a slight bit bigger. But the biggest change from the last suit is that the web shooters are much more bigger and bulky. They look like a cleaner and updated version of the web shooters from his homemade suit, or I'm sorry, Spider-Boy. The web shooters are for some reason the biggest thing of discourse about the new suit, but we need to remember that Peter is broke and only relying on his own technology.
Doing what he can with what he got.
And that's something that's kind of been missing from this version of Spider-Man since Homecoming. Having all the spider stuff be made by Peter really lends to his relatability. When Stan Lee first pitched the idea for Spider-Man, he liked the idea of a teenager with real problems that kids could relate to. It was rejected at the time because superheroes were seen as these perfect individuals and the kid characters were only ever seen as sidekicks.
If you have an idea that you genuinely think is good, don't let some idiot talk you out of it.
Of course, despite this, Spider-Man went on to become what some people call the most relatable superhero. Having the gadgets be given to Peter by Tony Stark worked to connect him to the broader MCU, but in doing that, it took away from an aspect that adds to that relatability. And I'm really happy that we're correcting that here, but no, they're too bulky, so they suck dick. I'm hoping that they don't cover the suit in CGI and that Spider-Man doesn't get like 7 different suits by the end of this movie. I understand that we need to sell toys, but when you think of Tom Holland Spider-Man, you don't think of these, you think of these. But I want this suit to be the Tom Holland Spider-Man suit. Tobey Maguire has his definitive suit, Andrew Garfield has his, and I want Tom to have his. Basically, I'm saying I just want him to keep
just hit me back. It's been a minute trying to let her where you at.
Sorry if I sound sick. It's because I am. Before anything was confirmed for the movie, the only bit of info that we had was that it would be releasing after Avengers Doomsday. And because of that, some fans were thinking that this movie would be taking place on Battleworld as a precursor to Secret Wars. But given that Doomsday has now been delayed to December of this year and what we've seen of this movie so far, it's looking like that's not going to be the case. This was another big dividing factor in the fan base, whether or not they should tell another multiverse story or just keep it street level and grounded. I was never really firmly on either side of that debate. They could tell a good multiverse story, and the Spider-Man character is a great character to tell those stories with. People say that No Way Home doesn't really hold up because a lot of people's enjoyment from the movie came from the theater experience, so when they rewatch it, they notice like the pauses in the movie where the crowd would have been screaming. And like, yeah, sure, whatever. Maybe they should have removed the pauses on the digital release, but maybe you guys just lack the ability to get hype alone in your room, because every time I rewatch this movie, I get transported back to Christmas time in the theater. But I will admit that both Far From and No Way Home are missing that grounded New York feel, which is part of the reason that I like Homecoming so much. And with the LCD sound system song they're using, hopefully we're bringing those vibes back. I'm very excited to see the double life explored now that so much has changed for Peter in between movies. The end of No Way Home hinted at Peter telling MJ who he is, what they are, and then they would get back together and then him and Ned would become best friends again, right? But maybe Peter has been still putting that off, leading to MJ finding a new person and getting a new boyfriend. Oh my god, it's Paul! Paul's making his MCU debut! Guys, it's Paul! But if that is the case and Peter still hasn't done what he promised MJ he would do, I would much rather him be kind of a loner than him just like be friends with Harry Osborn in college or something. Because Ned was Peter's only friend in high school. I mean, like, he had the other members of his decathlon team, but I don't know. I don't really feel like he would hang out with any of these people if he wasn't on that team. And I don't really think that Pete would become a social butterfly as soon as he gets to college, especially after all the loss that he's been through. It's actually very fitting that this is the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie to not have home in the title, because Peter has lost every sense of a home that he once had. And with the death of Aunt May in No Way Home, I would want that to be a more defining aspect of why Peter does what he does. The death of Uncle Ben is the inciting incident for the character of Spider-Man, and that has not been evident in this portrayal of him. In the first Spider-Man, Uncle Ben is a constant voice in the back of Peter's head, reminding him of his mistakes and showing him that if he doesn't step up, Nobody else will. For some reason, Uncle Ben has been left out of the Tom Holland movies as a whole. But given that the "with great power comes great responsibility" line comes from Aunt May here, this would be a great opportunity to give her that constant reminder-like role. Because it could work very well both as a motivator to continue to be Spider-Man, but also the other way around. A reminder that his life as Spider-Man is the reason that she is dead in the first place. In a photo on set, Tom Holland is wearing this shirt from Delmar's Deli, so maybe he has a job there, which would be pretty ironic considering what Delmar says to Peter in Homecoming.
Stay in school, kids. Stay in school. Otherwise, you're gonna end up like me.
I know having him work at the Bugle is iconic, but the Daily Bugle is a podcast in this universe, and having Spider-Man have a service job would really lend to that relatability that I was talking about, because he would then have to juggle his job, college, and his life as Spider-Man. And if that's not what's going on and I'm just thinking too much into it, I don't know, they could have him work at some pizza place. When the Doomsday cast was announced, it revealed that a lot of big names would be returning, but one of the few names that was left out of that live stream was Tom Holland, meaning that Spider-Man will most likely not be appearing in Avengers Doomsday. Aww. Yeah, I know. Hey, look, I actually think that this is a good thing. Hey! Look, Doomsday is going to be a ginormous story, and I really want this movie to be a Spider-Man movie without feeling like it has to set up for anything other than future Spider-Man movies. At the most, have like the very last end credit scene be a small teaser for Doomsday. The Spider-Man movies have such amazing usage of music in their soundtracks, and I'm not just talking about the Spider-Verse albums. Both Homecoming and No Way Home use their needle drops so well to the point that I can't listen to these two songs without thinking of the scenes that correspond to them. And I love when a movie can make me do that. A leaked trailer for the movie was supposedly using this LCD sound system song, and if that is true, y'all remember the opening of Invincible Season 2 that's just him sadly flying through the city to Karma Police? Give me that, but for Spider-Man, to this song as the opening of this movie.
I have all these guys here. I still don't have the cowboy one. I need the cowboy one. That's the only one I don't have.
Now, I want this to be a Spider-Man movie first and foremost, but I do like that we're including more than one character from the wider MCU, so it's not just Spider-Man in New York, because there's always that joke of like, when the city is being attacked, but it's not your movie. Before we even got any official promo for the movie, one of the first bits of information released was that Mark Ruffalo would be returning as the Hulk. I saw some fans say that it seems kind of odd to bring him in over some of the other street-level MCU characters that would make more sense, but I feel like if I go ask my little brother who his favorite superheroes are, he would say Spider-Man and Hulk. So seeing the two on screen together is going to be a dream come true for any kid that watches this. An idea I saw brought up that I really like is maybe having him be one of Peter's professors at college. I am kind of curious to know like at what point Hulk is at in his life, because he's kind of had a weird journey. Since Endgame, he has infected his cousin with his gamma radiated blood, had a kid. Why was that something we were trying to do? And then I guess he's changed himself back to human form because he was back to Bruce Banner for the end credit scene of Shang-Chi. He did that before Shang-Chi. He did that back in She-Hulk. I just forgot everything that happened in that goddamn show. Another MCU character that has been officially confirmed to be in the movie is Jon Bernthal's Punisher. I love that he's going to be in this movie, both because it's Punisher and also because of the drastically different moral codes that these two have. Spider-Man, along with Batman, has kind of popularized the idea of a no-kill rule for superheroes, because for those heroes, killing criminals is stooping down to their level and makes you no better than them. But for Frank Castle, that is not the case. Since we're getting these two polar opposite characters together, I would really want Punisher to challenge Spider-Man's no-kill rule, even more so than he did with Daredevil. Because I feel like the whole no-kill rule has been getting questioned more and more recently, mostly with stuff like Invincible, but I feel like every other day I hear somebody go, why doesn't Batman just kill the Joker so he doesn't hurt anybody else? Well, what's Batman gonna do when like 17 of his very loyal followers try to rise up and become the new Joker? It's not that simple, guys. But I want Punisher to make Peter ask himself those questions. Why doesn't he just kill these villains to make sure that they don't hurt anybody else? Some of the set photos that have been coming out show Spider-Man on top of this armored vehicle with this logo on it that's very similar to the Punisher logo from Punisher Killer of Killers. I don't know what I was on when I was recording this. It's not called Killer of Killers, it's called King of Killers. I think I was thinking of the Predator movie. But if this is Punisher's tank, I'm really curious as to why it looks like Spider-Man is chasing after him. Maybe they both end up trying to stop the same guy, and before Spidey can web them up, Castle just up and takes them out, leading to this chase and the two having an altercation. I got a Dr. Pepper. Regarding to other returning characters, we have Benedict Cumberbatch coming back as Doctor Strange. Not really sure where he's going to be fitting in, but you know, Google says he's in the cast. And Google would never lie, so maybe they'll do something where like he remembers who Peter is, or maybe Wong remembers who Peter is because he's the Sorcerer Supreme now. Ned and MJ are returning as well, but as I said, I bet Peter has been putting off telling them who he is. But the most interesting person added to the cast, because we don't know who they're going to be playing yet, is Sadie Sink. Now the obvious first guess is that she would be playing Mary Jane and she would be the new love interest for Spider-Man, which is an idea that I don't really like because What did Troy say?
It's stupid.
Oh yeah, it'd be stupid. With the X-Men's involvement in Doomsday, I've heard that maybe she is playing Jean Grey and that this movie will introduce the MCU's X-Men. Some people have pushed back against that, saying that obviously Sadie Sink's Jean Grey and James Marsden's Cyclops wouldn't mix, but also we need to remember that the X-Men that we're going to be seeing in Doomsday aren't from the main MCU timeline. They're from the alternate universe scene at the end of Marvels. I understand why everybody forgot that though. Fucking nobody watched the Marvels, but I do not think that she's going to be playing Jean Grey. Something that I've also heard is that she's playing Rachel Cole, who is a character that has a very similar backstory to Frank Castle. But I honestly can't see this version of Punisher having a partner. Working with another hero? Maybe. Having an actual crime-fighting partner that he gifts armor with his symbol on it? No. A character I thought of that would be really cool for her to play that I also saw Troy bring up in that video I mentioned earlier is Angelica Jones Firestar. I was writing this script and I looked over at my Daily Bugle set and I was like, wait a minute, she has red hair. I've cracked the case. I was so convinced I had it, man. I felt so smart. Leaked photo with Sadie Sink on set. She's got yellow pants and combat boots. Yellow pants, yellow suit. I couldn't be more correct. But then Sadie Sink was like, people forget that hair color can change. And why would she say that if her hair color doesn't change for her role? Okay, so everybody I just said is a possibility? Gone. Wrong. Out the window. Gwen Stacy is a possibility, which would be pretty funny because that would be the third time that a redheaded actor would be playing the blonde Gwen Stacy. But if she is changing her hair color and she ends up being a love interest for Spider-Man, I actually think it would be really cool to see her as Felicia Hardy because I love the dynamic between these characters and not for the reasons you think, but because she gives Peter the perspective of a criminal on the street and she can make him question his morals in the same way that I expect Punisher will, especially if Spider-Man ends up getting the black suit in these next couple of movies. I want the black suit for the themes it brings to the character, not just because I want to see black suit Spider-Man and Black Cat running across the New York skyline together. I want it for the thematic reasons. Why Spider-Man 2? Why wouldn't you give me at least one opportunity to swing with her in my black suit before she leaves forever? Pissing me off. Sadie Sink's co-star on Stranger Things, Caleb McLaughlin, posted some videos of him doing some stunt training on his Instagram, and some fans are putting on their tinfoil hats and theorizing that he's going to be Miles Morales. I am not one of those fans. Those videos were clearly taken very recently, and Brand New Day wrapped filming not too long ago, but that's not to say I'm against him eventually playing the character, especially if Sadie Sink is going to end up being Gwen Stacy. It's funny, I also heard something about Joe Keery being in talks to join the MCU, and some people were saying that he should play Harry Osborn. Like, do we just want to cast all the Stranger Things kids as all the Spider-Man supporting characters? Speaking of Miles, though, two more people that have been added to the cast that we're not sure who they're going to be playing yet is Liza Colin-Zayas and Tramel Tillman. I probably said Liza's name wrong. I'm really bad with names, guys. I'm sorry. I'm bringing them up together because I think that they could be playing Rio Morales and Jefferson Davis. I've actually heard that instead, Tillman will be this universe's version of Norman Osborn. I don't think this is the case for two reasons. One, look at this. That's the same person. And also considering that we've already seen Tom Holland go up against Willem Dafoe, the Green Goblin, for these next few movies, I would want to focus on villains that we haven't seen yet. And if I'm right and they are Miles' parents, bring back Aaron Davis. Bring him back. Do we need to start another campaign to get Donald Glover back in the Spider-Man movies? Because we will. Given that Marvel is okay with us knowing that Punisher is in this movie, I don't really see a reason why they wouldn't do the same with Daredevil, but I'm still going to keep my fingers crossed and hope that he shows up somehow. A character from the wider MCU that I've seen rumors is going to be showing up at some point is Yelena. That hasn't been officially confirmed, but I could see her showing up in like an end credit scene to bring Spider-Man into Doomsday or Secret Wars. And if we do bring in Spider-Man to either of those movies, please have him and Johnny Storm become friends. Don't do this though. Don't do this. Johnny was way too willing to sacrifice himself in First Steps. Don't kill him. One of the biggest reasons I'm excited for this movie is the director, Destin Daniel Cretton, who brought us Shang-Chi. And one of the best things about that movie were all of these super dynamic and really well choreographed fight scenes, and I would love to see those brought into this movie. Along with that, I really hope that we get plenty of Spider-Man just taking down street-level thugs in New York, which is another thing that has been kind of missing from these movies since Homecoming. Compared to the supporting characters, we don't have as many confirmed antagonists. Michael Mando will be returning as Matt Gargan after his brief appearance at the end of Homecoming. I'm so excited to finally see this character. Marvel movies, for some reason, feel like that they have to have an end credit scene for every movie, so that's led to a lot of end credit scenes being essentially pointless. I mean, don't get me wrong, some of these I'm not entirely disappointed that we're never going to be getting a follow-up from, but the one that really has bothered me is this interaction between Adrian Toomes and Matt Gargan. It set up Scorpion as the villain for these next couple of movies, only to have Spider-Man go on vacation instead of facing off against him. And because of that, I'd really hope that Scorpion is a very prominent antagonist in this movie. After he was announced to be coming back, Michael Mando posted some comic panels of Scorpion on his Instagram story, the most interesting of which is this one of Scorpion and Venom. Now, this could be nothing, but it is worth mentioning because of Matt Gargan's time as the symbiote host. I know it's not the traditional Venom that people are used to, but it's a cool idea that I would like to see executed well. I mean, it's not impossible. That small bit of Venom is still in the main MCU universe. Or was that in the Sony universe? No, 2 separate droplets at 2 separate bars. I guess Venom was just leaking that day. It's being said that Scorpion will be getting a comic-accurate suit, which I hope means more along the lines of like the PS4 suit rather than the one from Friendly Neighborhood. I really like that version of Mac, and that suit could definitely fit into the MCU, but no matter what they do with the suit, I'm gonna be comparing it to this one because it is the quintessential Scorpion design to me. But where would he get this suit? Maybe he's working for someone like Tombstone, who's another confirmed villain for this movie. I've heard some say that they don't really like when Scorpion is only relegated to just being a henchman because he should be able to stand on his own. Which I get, that's something that I really liked about the Friendly Neighborhood version of him, but because that show was supposed to be the origin story for Tom Holland's Spider-Man before becoming its own thing, I wouldn't just want to do that again. And I think having him work for someone like Tombstone would be a cool way to connect Spider-Man's past villains with his new ones. And although I hope he's very prominent, I really don't trust Marvel to give us a full movie with Scorpion as the antagonist after taking 9 years to bring him in. Marvin Jones III will be portraying Tombstone, which is really cool because he did the voice for the character in Spider-Verse. He only had a couple lines in that movie anyway, so I'm glad he gets to return to the character. I'm not very familiar with his work, but shave off that beard and he kind of looks similar to the one that we saw in Spider-Man PS4. That version was in charge of his own gang, which is something that I could see them bringing into the movie, but it would actually be pretty cool to have him as like a high-ranking mob boss, especially if we want to bring in other people like Hammerhead's gang. We could build up to a full-on gang war on the streets of New York. The main thing I've seen people criticize this casting for is that Krondon is too short to be playing the 6'7" towering man that is Tombstone, which I get, but depending on how strong they make him, I think that having a man who's like the same size as Spider-Man be insanely stronger than him would be really cool to see. In a leaked trailer for the movie, Spider-Man was supposedly fighting a group of red ninjas, which could only be the Hand. I hope one of you got that. I haven't been bringing up the leaked trailer much because, like, in this day and age of AI, it's very hard to distinguish what's real and what's not. Like, I can't even look at set photo leaks anymore without just, like, zooming in on every little detail. But videos of the trailer were getting taken down, and I don't want Kevin Feige to pull out the sniper on me. But if we are getting the Hand, that means it's possible that we see Daredevil, right? Right? In that leaked trailer, though, apparently there's a montage of Spider-Man turning in multiple villains like Boomerang and Tarantula, which would be cool to see considering we were supposed to get a scene very similar to that in Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4. And if that scene really is in the movie, please use it as an opportunity to show as many obscure Spider-Man villains as possible. And I don't mean like Chameleon or Jackal. No. Give me Big Wheel. One of the first rumors I remember seeing for this movie was that Marvel was looking for a 30 to 50-year-old Asian actor to play a major role. And that, combined with the fact that the Brand New Day comic is the first appearance of him, has led some fans to believe that Mr. Negative could play a part in this movie. And if that's true, I cannot wait to see it. I feel like the obvious fan cast in that age range would be like Steven Yeun. He would fucking kill it. But if we do introduce Martin Lee for this next trilogy, I would want them to take the Harvey Dent route with his character. Like maybe Peter starts to volunteer at Feast because he feels like he should be helping more as Peter Parker rather than just Spider-Man. And I would love to see Peter and Lee form a strong bond together. He could see Lee as a mentor, which would make his eventual transformation even more impactful and heartbreaking. Also, some people think that the tank logo is actually for the Demon Gang and not Punisher. I don't know how I didn't mention that. In the Brand New Day comic, Peter has stopped going out as Spider-Man due to the Superhuman Registration Act, and with Kingpin's anti-vigilante laws, it seems like that could be a thing that happens in this movie. And I hope that that's not the case. More criminals are going to be out on the streets thinking that they can get away with their crimes, so I would rather Spider-Man actually start to go out more because those laws are in place. But I do hope that we get to see Spider-Man and Kingpin together in some way in one of these next movies. Having a scene where Spider-Man and Daredevil are just like trading punches with Kingpin would feed nerds for generations. Some photos have surfaced of what looks like Matt Gargan breaking out of prison, which means that Vulture is out as well. Wait, is he still in the Morbius universe? Is Adrian Toomes stuck in the Morbius universe? Spider-Man. I mentioned Across the Spider-Verse at the beginning of this video, and every time I rewatch this phenomenal movie, I'm reminded of the feeling that it gave me. I don't care how corny this sounds. When I left that theater, I felt like Spider-Man. I know I'm not the only one. So many people started drawing themselves as Spider-Man, showing people what it would be like if they were in the Spider-Verse. Even I got in on it. And I want this movie to give me that same feeling. The Spider-Man character is all about perseverance in a world that constantly brings you down, about how no matter what happens, you can get back up. And I think especially in times like these, we all need to be reminded of that. So give us that. Give us that reminder that no matter what the world throws at you, someday you can get back up. And if that day isn't today, well, that's fine. Because tomorrow is a brand new day.
We ready?